Hello! Today we're going to talk about this car, the Mercedes-Benz C300 AMG-Line. This is the facelifted version that's recently out on sale here in Malaysia. I must say that when this C-Class first came out, this W205 series of C-Class, it actually moved the goalpost for what a compact premium sedan is supposed to be. Now, in terms of how Mercedes-Benz styled the whole car is a sedan that is classically styled, like the ones that you get from, say, 1950s. Here you get a long bonnet and a short boot, so it's got that nice classically styled proportions, which is like somewhat unique, and you don't get that in any other sedan nowadays, because everyone does the cab forward look. And I actually like how it looks different from what we normally expect, and it actually differentiates it. Yes, it might not look as sporty and wide arched or flat out as some other brands nowadays, but it's a totally different look which actually works for me. And then when you want a bit of sportiness, you slap on that AMG look body kit which this car has, and it's all quite perfect. So what does the facelift give you in terms of styling? Well, you get new lights front and back, of course, and a slightly different AMG style AMG-Line bumpers. So aside from that, it's still essentially the same car as before. In terms of interior wise, this car has an interior which I think a few years after its launch is still so much more premium than its competitors. In terms of how it's styled, how it looks, from the air vents to the speaker ports, everything looks premium. It raises benchmarks to a whole new level. It actually makes some of the competitors look like they have interiors from a taxi. It's that good. So what Mercedes-Benz have done in this facelifted version is to put in an even larger infotainment screen as standard, and also a fully animated digital instrument cluster. Now, in terms of ride and handling, this C-Class has been improved from the pre-facelift version. So this C300 comes with air suspension. It's fitted out with air suspension in this Malaysian spec version, which means that you kind of get the best of both worlds in terms of ride quality and also how it goes around corners. So there's this nice match of refinement and also in terms of handling. Air suspension, as you know, is basically 4 bags of air, one at each corner, and basically you can just tune how much air you need to support the car, the weight of the car, and how it goes around the corner. So with all the computers, it's basically you set it, if you're setting it in comfort mode, it still rides slightly firm in comfort mode, but everything is still well controlled. When you go up a notch to, say, sport mode, everything firms up slightly, but being it's suspended by air, it does a very good job settling out how it rides and all. It's sport sedan firm, but there's no excessive tire clobber. Everything is actually quite refined. It actually offers the best mix in terms of what you want in a sports sedan, like how you want it to gun the car and how it feels in mid-corner. Mid-corner, it's surprisingly very, very good, even in comfort mode right now, and it still allows you control. So the air sus is super sorted out in this facelifted variant. Somehow in the pre-facelifted model, I've tried the C350E, the plug-in hybrid. Of course it weighs a bit more and all, but the thing about that car is it was the first Mercedes-Benz C-Class that was actually fitted with run flat tires as standard. So when that happened, it wasn't as perfect as it is now with this facelifted model. In this facelifted model, they got rid of the micro jitters, the secondary ride issues, which also affected the air suspended C350E hybrid, which I tried earlier. So this car has none of that. Everything is sorted out, including how it drives at high speeds and how it drives at low speeds. So this is a fantastic sports sedan. It's not magic carpet ride smooth, even though it has air suspension. A lot of people seem to think that it's still very smooth. You could have your cup of coffee, or even more than that, your glass of grape juice if you want to. Nothing should spill, so it's good enough. But the best thing is it corners. It goes around corners really well. Really well. It's one of those Mercedes where it also adds effortless driving from its 2-liter turbocharged engine. 258 horsepower with 370 Newton meters of torque is actually more than enough for a windy Malaysian B road, especially those tight ones, like say if you go to Kuala Kelawang or even the old Bentong road from Jalan Gombak to Bentong, or those sorts of roads. This car has the right amount of power for you to just mash the throttle to the floor, and it's still adjustable and all. So it's quite fantastic to drive. It was never as fun in a Mercedes-Benz, not a Mercedes AMG mind you, to be this fun. If I wanted this much fun in a compact premium sports sedan, I would still have to take the one from Bavaria, even with its a bit low rent interior compared to this. This now gives me everything. It gives me that luxurious cabin which I really want. I get a cabin that is actually as fitted out as an S-Class. It looks like a baby S-Class from the outside. It looks like a baby S-Class from the inside. Plastics are so good, leather is so good, everything is so well fitted together, and now I'm getting ride and handling. You might get the ride from a Mercedes-Benz, but you've never actually gotten handling from a Mercedes-Benz in one package. Again, not AMG Mercedes-Benz. AMG-Line, last time I used to think that yeah, I got handling, but I still didn't get the ride. Even in the previous C350 or C200 pre-facelifted models, it didn't have that complete package which this is. With this C300, I'm getting ride, handling and luxury. Affordable luxury relatively in Malaysia, even with the high car prices because of our excise duty and all. This offers so much to you. Amazing, a Mercedes-Benz that comfortable and that handles. This is something totally different. Everything is here in this car in terms of safety equipment. It has all the necessary safety features of a car in 2019. You have blind spot sensors, you have collision warning, you have ABS, EBD, traction control, the usual active safety and passive safety technology. But in terms of you're talking about flaws, I know some of you will say, yeah, no car is perfect. I personally say no car is perfect. So what is imperfect? What is the flaws of this package? First of all, entry price to the best non-full AMG Mercedes-Benz is still over 300,000 ringgit. Secondly, I'd say that this car is packed full of electronics, but being 2019, how many luxury cars or near premium luxury cars have no equipment inside them? None. Everything is packed to the brim. You get everything excluding a kitchen sink. Everything is fitted out in this car. Everything is there. Whether you want or don't want to use it, it's up to you. But everything is fitted in a premium sedan in 2019. You're gonna have to maintain this car. Maintenance will be something which you need to think about in a car like this. And thirdly, the air suspension. The air suspension is so good in this car that it sorts out all the problems. It gives you comfort and handling, as I said, but it also needs maintenance. Air suspension is essentially air bellows, a reservoir that is filled up with air, and that holds up, that springs up the car instead of using normal coil springs. And that, my fellow viewers, is a two-edged sword in my opinion. What it gives you, it can take back. It can cut you. It will usually cut you here in Malaysia in about 5 years or so, or less, plus minus 4 to 5 years, where one of the struts, the air struts, will most likely give way, and you'll have to buy a replacement, or hopefully if it fails under replacement, then you have to get it replaced. If you keep it for more than how many years, then you have to bear the added maintenance cost by yourself. So that is the drawbacks of this Mercedes-Benz C300 AMG-Line. I can't think of anything other than the price, the amount of equipment which requires maintenance, and finally the air suspension, which also requires maintenance. So aside from this, I actually think that this is the perfect compact premium sedan on sale right now here in Malaysia. Okay, so let's now wrap up this review of mine. Hot and tiring, full day of driving. To just sum up the thoughts about the C300, this is the second time that I've had a go at this car, this C300 AMG-Line. The first time I had a go in this car was when they launched it sometime in November of 2018. We had a fun time in the drive. I took the C200 up, and I came back down from Cameron Highlands where they had the whole media drive. I came down from Cameron Highlands via the Sungai Koyan way, so that road was superb. So on the journey back to Kuala Lumpur, I took it down. It was fantastic, the C300, in terms of how it covered the miles, the kilometers from Tanah Rata right down to Raub and then back to Kuala Lumpur. We faced fantastic driving roads. The B roads there were fantastic. There were a lot of undulations, a lot of bumps and all. There were sweeping corners. There were also some hairpin turns and all. But this C300 managed to handle it superbly well. So well, it was so unlike what you thought a Mercedes-Benz could handle. It was like a Mercedes AMG, a baby Mercedes AMG in many ways. It is an AMG line, but this time this AMG line seems to actually be a proper sporting sedan with a lot of refinement thrown in. That is the best thing about this car. No dips and crests could unsettle it. It was that good. The torque, the gearbox, the 9-speed G-tronic, and its rear-wheel drive setup actually made it all so nice. It was also cohesive, which is very, very, very surprising and amazing for a Mercedes-Benz sedan. Again, I don't know, maybe I'm old school, maybe I've got to try more, but I've driven the previous C-Class AMG lines, the C200 and even the C350E, and it was never this good in terms of high-speed handling or road holding at that. The C350E had a bit of weight issues because it was a hybrid. It had a lot of weight in the boot due to the batteries that is needed for the hybrid drivetrain, so it wasn't a driver's car to the fullest. It did accelerate like crazy because of all the extra torque, but it wasn't a driver's car like how this C300 is. It's basically a more balanced car. It's comfortable, yet the suspension seems to be able to absorb, soak up, still allow you to corner as flat as possible and as secure as possible and as fast as possible. So now this is the second time I'm having my hands on this car, and it's fantastic. I think this is the best compromise to get in terms of price, ride, handling, performance. It may not be up to some people's liking. In fact, this car can handle 30 more horsepower and maybe another 50 Newton meters of torque easily. It will not unsettle this rear wheel drive setup. I remember I turned off the traction control at one time during testing. Like, very hard to unstick on normal road conditions, unless maybe it's wet or there's a bit of leaves or sand. So after a whole day driving the car again, I had the car the day before, did my errands in it. C-Class size, fantastic, just small and right size for our horrendous at times traffic, so you can still maneuver in and out of those people who like to double park, make life miserable for you. So everything works very well in this car. I think that if you're talking about other flaws and all, I'd say that the only thing that I think is still a flaw now with this C300 is this funny touchpad here, which is above the rotary controller, which controls the infotainment system and other stuff. You can actually set everything in like dynamic, sports mode, sports plus and all through the rotary button, but you have a D-pad which also does the same thing, but you also can use it for hand gesture input for the touchscreen. If you know, dial your friend or whatever, right, you can use it to you can also use it to change certain things on the car. But that being said, it is not very intuitive. Since the screen is so big, I would prefer if you could just reach out and just touch the thing. It's already a fingerprint magnet, because people will tend to think that that's the way to go. It looks like an iPad, a miniaturized iPad, or an iPad that has been sawn in half. So why not just give it full iPad features and use the swipe, touch, gestures and all on the screen? It makes a lot of sense. I think that would be more intuitive, which to the touchpad, which I remember trying out. Every time I wanted to press something, it becomes something else. So if there was a real gripe in this car, it's this touchpad here. This is the wrap up of the facelifted 2019 Mercedes-Benz C300 AMG-Line. So from Motoring Malaysia, I'm signing off. Do subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We do try our best to make sure these reviews are entertaining, somewhat knowledgeable. But that being said, I'm quite a regular Joe, so what do I know about cars other than just driving them?